All right, folks. As far as I'm concerned, this is sort of the essentials for baking bread. You have to have coffee. You have to have something for the bread to rise in and cover it with a wet cloth. In the background, it never hurts. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can. A little soft jazz. In this case, with a saxophone. It's called Sax by the Fire, S-A-X by the Fire, and it's really rather mellow and pleasant. Now, what's happening here is that about 3 weeks ago now, I started my first ever sourdough starter. And today I decided it was done properly. Don't know if it is, but we'll find out. So I have started baking sourdough bread today, and it's what's under the cloth right now. It's good for about an hour. It's the first rise. And then I get to shape it, and I get to do another rise for about 3.5, 4.5 hours. And in between starting and stopping, I'm supposed to stretch it up and let it fall back down, and stretch it up and let it fall back down, turning it so I get all parts of it stretched up and falling down. Do that a couple times, about once an hour maybe. And after that, I get to do a few more things to it, and then I get to put it in a Dutch oven, which we don't have, but we got a great big cast iron pot that we're going to use as a Dutch oven, and put it in our turbo oven for about an hour, 20 with the lid on, 20 with the lid off. Adjust to oven, it says. And I have no idea how this is going to work out. As the recipe says, baking sourdough bread, and this you can apply to any bread. I know, I've baked a fair number of loaves now. It's an understanding, it's not a science. My brother Bruce would probably agree with me that when you take off an airplane, you are using science. You adjust the throttles, you adjust your flaps, you point it down the runway, and off you go, and if things work right, you don't crash. But landing an airplane, especially a small airplane, is much more of an art. And that's what baking bread is. There's some science to it. Some say, oh, you've got to measure the ingredients out to the last quarter gram. And others say you've got to flatten the flour in the measuring cup so you get exactly the right amount. And some people say, well, you take about 4 cups of this and a little bit of that and some of that and put it in. And when it's right, you'll know it. Of course, they've got 30 years experience. So there's an art and there's a science. And I'm not very good at science, and I'm not sure I got this art at all right. But when it's done, I'll let you know how it works. And that's all for now, folks. Bye-bye.